Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayomide, and we're presenting today on measure of urban growth with land use and land covered in Kendall County, Illinois from 2001 to 2020. So this is like a fraction of my thesis. Yeah, and I just want to share with you. And today I'll be talking about my research questions, the cartographic processes I used in making Kendall County map, data sources and methodology, land use in Kendall County, developed land change, cartographic processes in developed land change, population change in the county, and the relationship between population change and developed land cover change in the county. And major reason for choosing, before I move to the next one, major reason for choosing Kendall County is because it's the fastest growing county in Illinois state. Just want to see the relationship between the data that showing that is the fastest growing county and what's actually happening on the land cover in the county, basically. Okay, so I have two research questions, and the first one is, I want to check the pattern of urban growth from 2001 to 2020 in the county, and under that I'll be seeing where growth is occurring and categories of land cover that have been changed from developed land, that have been changed from other land cover to developed land, and what extent is the change. And then I'll also be looking at the relationship between developed land change and population growth. Okay, so this is my map of Kendall County, Illinois, and I just want to quickly talk about the cartographic processes I used in making this pretty map. The first thing I showed was I didn't have to get a legend for this map because I have all the features well represented, and labelings are kind of doing justice to this, so I don't need a legend. And looking at the map, places are kind of shown with brown color, and it just makes sense. When you see brown, you can associate it with ground, and then when you see water, you can associate it with when you see blue, you can associate it with water bodies. State highway and US highway, they are all well represented, and so I don't necessarily need a legend to show what's going on the map. And then I also used the correct legend to ensure minimal distortion, and I used Abbas projection for that. I also used annotation so that I just have my labelings well positioned, and I also used halos where necessary to ensure contrast. Okay. So moving to data and methodology used, the primary data used for this research is land cover data from NLCD, and I also used census block level population data for years 2000, 2010, and 2020, and I've actually obtained that from US Census Bureau. Then the methodology I used is visual examination to see the trend in urban growth. And then I also use linear statistical analysis to check relationship between urban land use and population growth in the county. So looking at this map is basically showing the land use in the county, and we can see the trend. The orange color actually represents urban land. And then we can see the trend from the upper left corner. That's what we have in 2001. Then moving to the next one in 2010, we can see that the orange color is kind of extending, and that's showing that urban land is kind of gaining ground and is increasing. And I actually showed the categories of land and their extent in terms of percentage in the table right down, and then right below it is the map. Right below it is a graph showing changes over the years. looking at the very tall one over there is showing the change in cultivated land, and because Kendall County is actually, most of Illinois lands are used for crop production and all. So Kendall County is also very high on crop production, and that is why we have that extent of land use for crop production. And then we can see that the land use categorized for crop are kind of reducing over the year. Then looking at the one that's kind of a little higher, that's representing the developed land change. And in 2001, it was a little lower. Then by 2010, it was higher. And then by 2020, it became more, it grew more. So, and then I will also just quickly talk about color choices I used there as well. I just use color choices that are kind of, that just make sense. When you see green, you know that that's vegetation. So those are the decisions I made while making the map. And this is a graph just to show what I was trying to describe the other time. And then I just want to show it to us that cultivated lands are actually reducing while developed lands are increasing in the county. So this is another map to show changes in developed land. And here, I ensured that I used very prominent color to show where developed land is, and then I visually de-emphasized other land use categories so that we can see, because developed land is our focus, so that we can see where developed lands are and where changes are occurring. And then from 2001 to 2010, we can see the orange color there is showing other land cover categories that got changed to urban land. And then we can see that right all over the map. And from 2010 to 2020, the change was actually very small, very, very small. And it's just a little like sprinkled around the map. So looking at this one, we can answer questions on where developed lands are getting more additions and why the development is not uniform. Talking about that, the development is not actually uniform around the county because first, there was an approval of construction of more residential houses by Yorkville City, and that is why we have more, and that was, the approval was in 2000, and between 2000 and 2010, we have more houses built around that area, and that's why we have like a huge, I would call it a huge growth in urban lands over that year. And other areas, such as Big Grove, Fox, Kendall, and Lisbon, and the rest, had minimal growth because they are actually prime farmlands, and the county is looking at preserving such farmlands, so they won't build around that area. Okay, so I will just move. Then looking at this map is just to still emphasize growth between 2001 to 2020. So this is like an overall growth in the county over that year. Yeah, then I will just talk a little bit about this. I want to compare urban growth and population growth. And then I actually need to kind of get something to bring them together so that I can compare them. So I made a grid cell, 900-meter grid cell, to extract changes in urban development in the county. And that is what I have here for the years I consider. And then I moved to getting my population data. This is block level census data from US Census Bureau, and I have it for the years I'm considering, 2000, 2010, 2010, and 2020. Then I moved to doing the same thing for population change. I extracted where population is increasing and where it's decreasing. I extracted that into my 900-meter grid cell, and then I performed, So I studied it for over the years considered, and then I performed a Pearson correlation to see the relationship between them. And then for 2000 to 2010, I can see a correlation of 0.100, and for 2010 to 2020, I had negative 0.0239, and that's like, of course, that's expected because we had very minimal growth in terms of urban development in Kendall County from 2010 to 2020. And for 2000 to 2020, which is the overall growth, I had a correlation of 0.109. So in conclusion, I can say that the county had a major growth from 2001 to 2010, and the development was around the northern part of the county, while the southern part had minimal growth. Then urbanization of Kendall County was actually to the detriment of other land uses, and cultivated croplands were mostly affected. And lastly, there exists a weak relationship, positive relationship between developed land change and population change in Kendall County. Thank you.